So Katie and her Audrey, I titled this message Reprieve, and it's taken from 2 Kings chapters 9 and 10. You know, it's been said historically that the southern kingdom of Judah during its tenure as a country only had 8 good kings, and that the northern kingdom of Israel during its tenure as a country didn't have any good kings. But after reading this passage in 2 Kings chapters 9 and 10, I would beg to differ. I think the northern kingdom of Israel did have one good king, and his name was Jehu. And Jehu was really, for the most part, an outsider or an independent. He wasn't part of the lineage of the kings of Israel. He was a commander, or one of the commanders, in King Ahab's army. And then, of course, in Ahab's son's army after Ahab was killed in battle. And it was during this time that the prophet Elisha, who was the successor to Elijah, who was a prophet of the northern kingdom of Israel, received word from the Lord that God wanted him to anoint Jehu as king of Israel with the specific instructions that he wipe out the rest of Ahab's family and that he wipe out the priests of Baal. And Baal worship during this time was a form of worship that had been allowed by Ahab and his wife Jezebel to infiltrate the northern kingdom of Israel in an unbelievable way. And one of the tenets of this belief system, by the way, was the sacrifice of babies, human babies, infants, on red-hot altars. And so Jehu, after he is anointed, he carries out God's instructions. He kills Jezebel, he gets rid of Ahab's son and the rest of his family, and then he goes to work on the priests of Baal, which includes inviting them to this gigantic party and then killing them while they're at this party. It's really a very ingenious way. And because of that, because he carries out the commands of the God of Israel, God promises that his descendants will sit on the throne of Israel, that is the northern kingdom's throne of Israel, unto the 4th generation, which would be, I think, 150, 160 years. But the point I make is that God, through King Jehu, who I do consider a good king, he wasn't perfect because he didn't do away with the worship of the golden calves, but because of King Jehu, God through him grants, and this is the title of my message, the northern kingdom of Israel a reprieve or a pause in his judgment, so that the people who were persecuted for worshiping God are once again allowed to worship him freely, and so that other people who did not know him or maybe had rejected him were given yet another chance to know him. And you know, I think God does that in our lives too. Often, he will grant us a reprieve from his judgment, a second or third chance, so that we might be able to get right with him and know him. And why does God do this? I think it's ultimately, as I've said numerous times before, because he's a God of grace. And he's a God of grace ultimately because the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, even today, is a God of love. God bless you both.